お前、ここに捕まってたのか。クロコダイル。
久しぶりだな、麦わら。
Welcome back to the internet safe space. Two new guests, never before seen. I know you're saying in your head, where's this guy? Where's this guy getting more new guests? I managed to find them. Here they are. Grant, why don't you start? Introduce yourself.
I'm Grant.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Alexon, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
I am Alexon. I go by Zon, the Garbage Man, a multitude of other nicknames. And I know Tony from our sophomore year at Lafayette, where we joined the same fraternity. Been pretty good friends ever since.
You guys saw the title of the video. You know what it is. We're back talking about One Piece, and I know I said that talking One Piece was going to be a internet safe space returning segment, and we haven't done it since episode 2.
Travesty.
We are well over 20 episodes now. Shit happens. I started so many segments at once that some of them just never got sequels. We're finally back, and I know what you're wondering.
It's like One Piece.
Flax, where's Tommy McIntyre, the internet safe space One Piece expert? Well, he fell asleep and is taking a nap, so he couldn't make it. But we've got Grant here. Last minute, very much appreciate that he's able to make it on. Our second One Piece expert. Him and Tommy together are the reason I started watching in the first place. And then we have below us Mr. Zon himself, a new watcher. Zon, just so that people can understand, what did you watch first, One Piece or Naruto? Just tell them.
Naruto.
Say it one more time.
Naruto was the first anime that I ever watched. I watched it during COVID in late 2020. I was actually working on a farm in Alaska when I started doing it, and I had a good amount of free time. So when I got tired of reading Les Miserables, which happened frequently, I decided to start watching Naruto. And totally changed my life in terms of watching anime. It, like, totally made me realize that I was neglecting a medium that was pretty remarkable in terms of not only storytelling, but also in terms of capability of effects and imagination, because it's a lot less limited or constrained by budget. So the actual things that you can show and the powers and the basically world building that you can achieve are almost limitless. And I was like, whoa, I need to check this stuff out. And so I did. And Naruto is amazing and will forever have a near and dear place in my heart.
Which one's better?
They're different. They're very, very different. I'll say that much. I haven't finished One Piece yet, so I'm not going to make any definitive judgment. I currently can definitely say that I'm enjoying One Piece more. However, I also haven't watched Naruto in almost 2 years. I haven't seen any of the moments that make me like almost want to stand up out of my seat and yell at my television, stuff like that. Which there have been a couple in One Piece where I'm like losing my mind. It's kind of awesome. And I haven't found an anime that was able to truly, truly recreate that in terms of like just raw hype, which is kind of cool. And there are a lot of other elements that are fantastic. One Piece's world building in general, significantly better. Takes a long time to get there, but the world building is better. The fight choreography in Naruto, however, is undisputably superior. That's a non-negotiable.
You haven't watched the first fight of Egghead, so they might be
You
the
haven't
best One
watched-
Piece fight I've watched ever. But
You haven't watched any of Naruto,
Grant,
so
Grant, just because I need Zon to chill for a second. Grant, which one's better, One Piece or Naruto?
Luzon's right. They are very different. But I also watched Naruto before watching One Piece. So it wasn't my first anime. And I have to say, One Piece is without a doubt better. I mean,
Without a doubt.
without a doubt, Tony.
And tell me why. Why is that exactly?
Because of everything Zahn said. It's better world building, the story, the characters. There's no annoying fucking chicks like Sakura. Like, and if they are, they're like children, and it's like okay, because like they're supposed to be.
They're just annoying dudes like Sanji.
He's French. It's part of the character.
Okay, Momo.
He's a child.
My cat's trying to walk on my computer.
Hello, kitty.
Just
That's a
need to
good
make sure
point.
she doesn't step on any keys, but she's very sweet. Come on my lap if you want. Come here.
But Grant, I would ask you, which anime do you think has better fight choreography and specifically better fight scenes in terms of what is actually shown on the screen? Not in terms of story, not in terms of hype, but in terms of visual fight scenes, what do you think is superior?
Okay. I will give Naruto this edge and this edge alone. The animation from the start, at least in Shippuden, was easily way better than like until at least post time skip One Piece. So in that sense, the fights were definitely better. But once you get to like Wano and shit, I mean, wait, where are you, son? Because I again, I don't want to spoil things.
So I'm in one. So yeah, just give an overview. I started watching One Piece at the beginning of last year, 2024, right at the very beginning. And over the course of a year, I have watched in intense spurts and then taken breaks. Just because I realize that I'm like fizzling out a little bit, and I know that if I don't stop now while I'm still interested a little bit, it's going to be a long time before I get back to the show. Because it's a lot. I can't, not everyone can, just bum rush it in 4 months and be done with the whole thing. I wouldn't really recommend for most people to do that personally.
Do you
But
know someone that's done that?
um I know someone who's done that, and I also currently know someone who started watching in like the middle of January and is currently just started Whole Cake.
Damn, respect.
That's faster than me. Holy shit.
I know that it's insane.
That's really no life to get.
Yeah.
And that is something. I do want to say, the audience already has a little bit of an idea of how much I've watched One Piece, but to give them a timeline, I started in middle-ish of September because I was finishing up The Sopranos and I wanted to finish Sopranos first before I started watching it.
Great show.
Me and Grant were in the same fraternity. All three of us were in the same fraternity, actually. But Grant said that he would start watching it with me, and I'd never watched any anime before. That was the first one, which a lot of people say is interesting. Most people, their startup anime is usually not one that's over 1,000 episodes of commitment. Mine was, but I'll say I was done with it before the new year. So I'd started it mid September, and I was caught up beginning of when I caught up. I think 2 episodes of Egghead were out. So, and yes, Zahn knows that art exists. Arc exists, so we can talk about it. Um, but yeah, so it was quite the grind, and I am. It's the best anime I've watched, and I still say that because I've also watched Chainsaw Man. I'm almost done with One Punch Man. I've watched JJK as well, and One Piece is the best of them. However, I will say this: One Punch Man, I'm not even done with it. Easily second best, like not even close. How easily that became second best. Like I thought JJK and Chainsaw Man were great. One Punch Man is just like 10 times better. Like it's insane how much more I'm enjoying it. It's like that's a close number 2 to One Piece right there. One Piece has just so much more going on, right? And Luffy is my MC, but Saitama, like that is my, he's like the Zoro of my favorite
It's
main
definitely like
characters.
your kind of comedy. You can
It
see that.
is, it
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
100%. But this is a One Piece podcast, so
Watching
enough
Naruto.
background, enough lore. I want to start getting into meat and potatoes of this shit. Um,
Tony, just to highlight exactly where I am right now. So, like I said,
yeah,
I
good
started.
call, good call.
Like I said, I started watching at the end of last year, and throughout the course of about 4 months, from January to around April, I watched from full beginning to time skip, and I included G8 and Skypiea. I don't know how people skip Skypiea. I think that's outrageous.
That's just weird
Sky,
because Skype is not filler. G8, skipping G8, I'm like, all right, it's filler at the end of the
understand.
day. It is. But
Still,
Skypiea is actually part of the story. Like that's written in the manga. So yeah, you're a
You can't
weirdo if you skip that
skip
shit.
that.
completely agree. And it's also so good. Like, Skypiea is the thing that I love about Skypiea, truly, truly love, is it's where One Piece really starts to get weird. And that's what I think One Piece does so incredibly well. It's weird, it's unique, it's funky, and it just explores ideas and concepts no, that are so beyond the level of creativity that other stories would even dare to think about, if you will. Skypiea is where things start to get funky. It's also the first mention of Gold. Like we see that Gold D. Roger was there, and we see, I believe it's the first mention of Joy Boy, if I'm not mistaken. Um, Regardless, loved Skypiea. Watched all the way up to time skip. Took a break over the summer. Restarted in August. Went from August to the beginning of Wano. Um, I went from August to around beginning of November. Yeah, August, September, October, November, about 3 months. And I watched from time skip to the beginning of Wano. Enjoyed that a great deal. Dressrosa was by far my favorite arc in that. Loved Dressrosa, absolutely fantastic. Fishman Island was an arc.
Sanji.
Um,
Fuck Sanji.
Sanji ruined that shit.
Whole reason there
So
was an arc.
awful. Regardless, put it down again for another probably about 2 months. From most of November through December. And then I recently restarted watching it probably end of January, and watched no middle of January, and I watched the majority of Wano up to where I am now, where I have not watched for about almost a month now, in anticipation of doing this podcast because I knew that if I kept watching, I was going to pass Gear 5. I'm currently at the point, what just happened, I actually was just watching an episode before we got on, was so Luffy has just been recovered by Law's ship and his crew after being tossed into the sea by Kaido. This is the second time he has lost to Kaido in this, like, lost, sort of. He hasn't really lost the fight because he hasn't had to, like, I mean, I guess he has.
That's a lose. That ocean shit, that's an undeniable loss.
It's like, I don't think that's losing the fight. I think that's like losing a round.
Alexon,
You
he
know?
fell off Onigashima into the ocean. He lost that time. He was basically dead, if not
Spent his
for...
entire time in prison working on a move so he could win because he lost.
Correct. He had already lost once when the Thunder Bagua destroyed him in Gear 4.
At least, sorry to chime in, Tone, but Thunder Bagua, I love that because that's like the first time in a long time that you realize, whoa, Luffy is outclassed and outgunned unequivocally.
Shit.
Precisely,
Makes
Grant.
Doflamingo look like Crocodile. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, it makes
you
Doflamingo-
understand. You understand Law's entire plan of like why he was trying to just get Kaido to do it because it would have been like that.
Yeah.
Dofi was nothing. Like, Doflamingo was
No, he was-
nothing in comparison. Year 4 Luffy loses to Naruto. Like, that's how weak he is.
Yeah, by the end for sure.
By the end of Naruto, yeah. I mean, Gear 4 gets ratioed by by 6 pass Naruto. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, he's blowing up mountains with Rasengan by the end of it. Like,
yeah, literally.
he's not surviving.
Grant, just
No,
because
not
we don't want to
close.
spoil too much about Gear 5 for Alexon, but just to you just say the name Luffy versus Naruto, full power each. Who's taking that home right now? Just say the name.
I can't just say a name, Tony, because to be perfectly honest, I don't remember the exact specifics of 6 pass Naruto. But from what I do know about the exact specifics so far of Gear 5, I'm taking Luffy.
Interesting.
And I've
I'm
said that
excited to see.
Alexon, I think he really will. He can't really fathom yet the power up. Like it might be a million times as strong as Gear 4. And I'm not like that might not even be an exaggeration. That could be a legitimate measurement. Like a
It's
million
just like,
times.
yeah, it's like a whole different thing. Like,
It's different. Yeah, it's like uncomparable.
So here's what I'm thinking about Gear 4, just to rehash like where I'm at again.
And Gear 5.
Yeah, Gear 5. Yeah. So Luffy has just been recovered by Lost Ship. Nami has just recovered Zeus into her climate act. And we just saw Nami smack the absolute shit out of Ulti with Zeus turning into a flail, a spiked ball, which is pretty awesome. Not gonna lie. Also, some of this, just to recap, some of the scenes that I've like witnessed that were like moments that really were like whoa during the fight with Kaido. Luffy infusing Conqueror's Hockey. The fact that you can infuse Conqueror's Hockey into an attack, insane. Love that. Very very sick. I mean, that was incredible. And seeing Luffy attack Kaido without even hitting him, and then seeing Law like kind of just like have like an oh wow, I'm a baby boy. Like I'm such a little bitch compared to this guy. Like because like I believe Tony was the person who told me this, but up until this point in the story, Law has really thought that he's on the same level as Luffy, and this is the first time where he cannot deny by any extent of the imagination that he is not. Luffy is undeniably stronger.
Yup.
you hear that, Tommy?
Yup.
You hear that?
What am I hearing?
Did you hear that, Tommy?
Oh, Tommy. I thought you said Tony.
No.
I actually didn't.
Well,
I did not watch the episode with Tommy yet. It's on the list of things. But did Tommy say that Law is stronger than Luffy or something?
no.
No, that's just his favorite character.
It's his favorite character, yeah.
That's fair.
But I
That's
will say, and I did say this to Zahn, I'm actually glad he brought it up, but that's one of my favorite episodes in Wano for that exact scene when Luffy punches Kaido without touching him, and Law is like on the ground and looks up and he sees it and his like jaw drops and he just goes, he's not even touching him. Like Law, like for the first time ever, actually fucking knows for once his ego slips away just for a second and he acknowledges that he is not that fucking strong for once, just for once.
And then Luffy says something, and he's like, "Oh wait, never mind.
Yeah, and then he just hates him again.
Never mind. This
For
guy's
a
stupid."
split second.
Yeah. He has the realization. And what I just saw at the end of the last episode was Otama has just called upon all of the gifters that she gave her like cheek kibidongo, I think is what it's called too. Like her like dumpling thing to turn them all into her friends. She has just called them all to come to her side and to like fight Kaido. And the tide is really shifting because like there were a lot of moments of magnitude in this fight. Like Wano itself, the 100 there were a couple of moments where it was really starting to drag for me, where I was like, okay, let's get this on a move on. Like, but then it gets picked up. So, for instance, no, I think that that's fair. I think
So
that that's fair.
Are you at the party now?
I've done the party
You're
like
on top
on
of the mountain and shit.
Dude, he's in Roof
uh,
Piece. He's on Roof Piece right now.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Luffy has fought Kaido. He just got launched into
He's
the
Roof
ocean.
Piece.
There have been a bunch of things that happened, but points where it was dragging for me a little bit was the fight, the fights leading up with Luffy in the prison, until Big Mom arrives, which is excellent. But the fight leading up in the prison where he's just fighting with what's his name, the old man, Hyogoro,
Oni.
the flower. Hyogoro the flower. Amazing character. Love that guy.
Alexon, bro.
What?
The prison training part of Wano is one of my favorites. I can't believe you would say it drags when he's in the prison.
No.
He
So
learns
not
Ryu
the
in there.
no. You're misunderstanding me. I don't think that I like the training arc after they've gotten control over the prison, and he's just punching the shit out of a metal block. I actually like that more than when he was just fighting nobodies. Like the first scene where they have 100 people rush him and he uses Conqueror's Hockey and knocks them out. Okay, cool. The second scene where he starts to step it up again, cool. But I feel like it was a little too much. We were waiting on Big Mom to arrive a little too much. There was that point.
Piece pacing, man.
Yeah, that's fair. That was honestly, that is really the only point I can identify that I wasn't like I felt like, okay, this is taking a while. Odin's backstory, absolutely chef's kiss, impeccable.
Hey, Odin
Love
would be
Odin.
Odin.
Unless it was boiled.
Do the dance, Tony. Do the dance.
Nah, yeah, you're bugging. I can't do the dance. I'd have to get naked.
So,
He still got
So is
boiled.
Wano your favorite arc now so far?
that's a good question. You know, I honestly put Skypiea in like the top arcs. So let me think. I love Skypiea. I really do.
I like the weirdness of it too and all, but like that's like known as like bottom 2.
Correct.
It
is, but I could see it. I could see it appearing in the middle. Like I think for me, I have it like B.
Personally, I love early One Piece charm. I've never been like, oh, I need the fucking animation to like. Bleh.
Agreed.
So like, I love like Skypiea, but like,
yeah.
Top
So
arc,
So at the bottom of my list, no questions asked. Long Ring Longland, terrible arc, killer arc in my opinion.
Tony's favorite arc, dude. Foxy
Like,
#1. Foxy's coming back, dude. Foxy's
He's
coming
joking.
back.
Foxy
Impel
is the
Down.
One Piece.
Impel Down is the best arc of One Piece for me.
That's a fair statement.
Impel Down is my
That's a fair
favorite.
statement.
What, Grant?
We're like this.
You agree with me? Impel Down?
Yes, that's always been my fucking favorite.
It's so good. It's literally so.
Katakuri being my favorite character makes Whole Cake like pretty close for me, but
Impel Down is so incredible. I mean, it just, especially with how much One Piece you've already watched, and you think like, wow, like maybe I've seen the best, and then you get to Impel Down. It's
all the
Luffy's
redemption
crew
arcs.
isn't even there.
All of the redemption arcs, man.
Yeah, I mean that
Fucking
was
Bon Clay.
Bon Clay makes that arc. I think if the Bon Clay part of it wasn't in there,
It might
it
be my
might
second
not
favorite.
be my favorite. But yes, Bon Clay is a goated. He's probably like a top 5 supporting character for me. It's like Bon Clay, Katakuri, Crocodile, and like 2 others.
I like Yamato a lot. I think she's very cool. Honestly, I'm assuming that she's gonna get like we're gonna see her do a major like power up or not power up, but just see her show her full power because it's been implied that she has a like more powerful form. I don't know what it is yet, but I'm excited to see it. Love Yamato. Love Katakuri. I like the fight. It's too long. I love the fight with Katakuri, but I don't need to see Katakuri say, "Oh, a nine-headed mochi" a million fucking times. I get it. I get it. He's
Zon,
awesome.
Zon, it's not too long.
It is too long. The
It's
fight
not.
with Katakuri is
Don.
Zon.
Donuts. Donuts.
He's like this.
fantastic point. Fantastic point. I would say personally, my favorite arcs are either it's kind of a tie. It's either Annie's Lobby or Dressrosa.
Annie's Lobby is
Annie's
I-
Lobby
I-
is better than
Annie's
Dressrosa.
Lobby was easily the best when it first like out of the arcs up until that point. Yeah, for sure.
Until Impel Down, Annie's Lobby is I think Annie's Lobby I might have listed as my I don't remember if it's listed as my second. I'd have to
mean,
look at my list.
I literally anytime I just want to give myself chills, I just watch that like I'm meant to live, bro.
Bro, or
Yeah,
even the Gear 2
The English
intro,
voice
that was
acting
insane.
surprisingly is even better than the Japanese in that.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think when I really think about it, Annie's Lobby does take first place for me. It's incredible. I mean, there are a lot of really good, really great scenes, and it's like the thing is Annie's Lobby for me has some of, if not the best humor in One Piece. Granny Kokoro being a violent alcoholic, drunk driving the Rocket Man train through the like most secure place that we've heard of in the fucking whole world up until this point because we don't know about Impel Down. Impeccable. Sniper King overplayed, but I don't care. Impeccable. And there's so many great
the
scenes.
wind carries my name.
Sniper
From Sniper
Island far
Island.
away.
When I became straight and true. Lulu la la
La,
la.
Yeah, great. And this is also, in my opinion, Luffy's craziest crash out that he has. He literally goes to the courthouse of the world government and screams that he is going to find Rob Lucci and kick his teeth in. He declares war on the world government by commanding Sniper King to shoot a fire star through their flag. Says to Robin that I need to hear you say you want to live. There's that scene where Usopp finds the two giants and tells them that the world government has been lying to them and that Dory and Bragi are not held captive and they turn sides. You have the redemption of Frankie and the Frankie family. Robin actually finally fighting after just completely not believing in anyone. I believe this is also where we get Robin's backstory. Heartbreaking to see what happened on Ohara. And the giant, I can't remember his name, but I know he has a D.
Saul.
Yeah,
D.
Saul D something.
Saul
And
is
then also,
goated.
All D
yeah.
nuts.
Saul D Jaguar.
The other way around.
Sorry,
Yeah,
Jaguar D
Jaguar.
Saul, my bad.
There's that. There's also, just not for nothing, just as an inclusion, Spandam's sword is wild. His sword ate the elephant fruit. Crazy.
Oh, yeah, what is it? Humphrey?
I don't remember, but I love that's the introduction that like not like animals are not the only things that can have devil fruits. They can be
Sorry,
imbued
it
with
happened
objects.
in Alabasta already.
Really?
Yeah, that's
It's been a thing. The dog
Where was-
gun thing.
oh true, yeah, true. Mr. Four, he had the baseball bat and the
Yeah.
the
It
dog
was
that
a
like spit
gun
the
that
baseball.
ate a dog fruit or some shit.
Oh yeah. Well, still, regardless.
I was never gonna let you get away with complimenting anything about Spondum. He's
His sword is cool. He's a terrible person. His sword
he's
is
like
Spondum's a
one
good
step
villain,
up
dude.
from Charlos. One step
The
up
fact
from
that you hate
Charlos.
it makes him a good villain.
Who's Charlos?
You know who Charlos is, bro?
Imperial the dragon.
Celestial Dragon that Luffy rocks in the face, sends him back to the manga.
Oh, the guy that he
Sends him back to
punches
the
out.
manga.
Yep, yeah. I forgot his name. But there's those scenes. scenes gear. I think Gear 3 is cool when we see it. I think that the Gear 2 introduction is, in my opinion, the coolest power up introduction we've seen from Luffy up to this point. For me, I haven't seen Gear 5. I think that the Gear 2 introduction at its time was cooler than the Gear 4 introduction. Gear 4 is, yeah,
Agreed.
so hype,
Gear,
so
Gear
fantastic.
3 was just kind of thrown in there in like the same arc. But like I feel like it didn't have the same
Gear
oomph.
2 was his first power up in like 250 episodes.
Yeah,
And then like 50 later, Gear 3 or some shit.
yeah, it was awesome. The fight with Rob Lucci is impeccable. And then to top it all off, as if it couldn't get any better, the Mary comes back to save them after being told, after like the whole crew is told that the Mary has boat cancer and she's not going to be able to live anymore. They she decides, fuck all that. I'm going to save them. Like, perfect. Truly perfect. It's my favorite arc. But to go back
Like the
to Wano,
resolution.
There are a couple of things that I know. I am waiting to see some serious power ups. I've seen the Zoro power up, I think, where he actually really wounds Kaido. We see him do 9-headed Ashura, impeccable, with the addition of Enma. Fantastic. We've seen
Hold
Luffy's
on. Hold
power
on.
up.
You haven't seen the main one then yet.
If you're saying you think you know Zoro's power up, then you haven't seen it yet. You will know 100%.
I feel like he had a pretty big power up in his fight against
You
Kaido.
want to talk about fight choreography? Zoro
That fight
King. Zoro King.
I've been multiple people have asked me, have you seen the Zoro King fight yet? And they fought for a little bit, but I guess I haven't because
think about it, bro. Kaido, you know how strong Kaido is as an emperor. His right hand is going to be ridiculously strong.
yeah.
Sanji's
Also,
not winning that fight, bro. I think Sanji loses that fucking fight.
God, the end of this arc is. Man,
You have no idea what's coming for Zoro. You literally have no idea.
Also, a weird point that hasn't been explained yet. I don't know if it's going to be explained by the end of the arc, but I don't know what King's quote unquote race is, and the reason I say that is because what?
He's
Wait,
Lunarian.
I don't think I knew that.
Okay, well the
I don't
name
think
isn't a spoiler, but
right. Well, the reason why I asked is because I remember when Big Mom gets to the island and is declaring that they're going to be also the initial fight with Big Mom and Kaido, super cool. Before they declare that they're gonna form an alliance, but she says, "I've created a perfect island with all the races on the world except for one," and then looks at King, and I was like, "Wait, what? That's weird," because I was expecting her to say giants because she doesn't have giants there. That's why she was trying to get Caesar to create them because the giants hate her because she destroyed Elbaf or something like that. Also the revelation that Kaido, Big Mom, and what's his name?
Whitebeard.
Kaido, yeah, Kaido, Big Mom, and Whitebeard were all part of the Rocks Pirates.
Insanity.
Insane. Have they talked about God Valley much?
No. All I know is that Garp teamed up with Gold D. Roger, and I'm hoping
Think
that I
about
get to.
how that sounds even.
I'm hoping I get to see that soon. So
Keep
excited
hoping.
for that.
We're hoping too.
Shit. But yeah, there are a lot
It'll
of
be like
really
next.
Sanji. I think Sanji. I might like Chopper more than Sanji right now.
All right, chill out, bro. That's crazy.
No, Chopper goes hard in the motherfucking paint fighting Queen. After he synthesizes the antidote for the ice monster thing, and then he turns into Monster Point, and he's getting attacked by Sparrow with the lollipop.
I despise Sparrow so much, bro. Lick,
Horrible.
lick.
A little.
Yeah. Chopper goes hard in the paint. literally spins King around like a hammer throw in the Olympics, tosses him. Obviously doesn't win that fight, but from where Chopper because I haven't seen Sanji do much except just get tricked by the weird spider lady.
Wait, hold on.
Oh wait, do you see Robin's
Hold on.
upgrade then?
Have you seen that fight?
No.
Oh. You haven't seen Robin's fight?
That's,
With
Dude,
the
you have
spider lady,
so-
I don't believe so.
Oh my
have you seen him
God.
like
She's
ask
dropping
for
a
his
crook,
upgrade?
right?
'Cause even that's sick.
Yeah, have you seen any what do you Oh my God. Dude, that upgrade is better than Sanji's, bro.
Robin is probably my
Sanji's just a
second
suit, right?
favorite Straw Hat.
What else did he get?
Potentially my
Um,
favorite Straw Hat.
He's like the same as his siblings or some shit.
Yeah, just the suit. Oh wait, no, his
Yeah.
physical thing came.
Physically.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Um
He
yeah, that
matured.
Robin's upgrade is im- it's like scary. I can't even talk about it. Like that's all I'm gonna say. It's insane.
That's cool.
Um,
I love Robin.
Best girl.
She's probably my favorite. She might be my favorite Straw Hat. I'd really have to think about it. Probably my second, because honestly, like the more I watch Luffy, the more I love him. The more he just becomes my favorite because I've realized Luffy's superpower is not the Gum Gum fruit. It's not, and it's not his determination either. I think his true superpower is to determine the pure of heart. He has an incredible ability to find the not even purposefully. He doesn't care. He will overthrow your entire government for half of a grilled cheese sandwich. Like but the thing is that the people who he does that for always just so happen to be the right people. He just has an innate ability, like an instinct almost, that gravitates him towards the pure and correct people. He has an ability, almost kind of Grant like Naruto, to make friends with pretty much anyone under the right circumstances.
The power of friendship. Yes.
Exactly, and
Never
I think
failed.
that's his true superpower is to just like he has an innate ability to detect good from evil, and it's not explicit. He doesn't talk about it at all. He just gravitates towards good naturally, chaotic good, but good.
oh, hold on. My
I
mic
knew it
was
was
just
cool and all, but
Wait, hold on. My mic
I
was
bet.
muted for the podcast. I
oh
have
wait,
to
I know your
re-say.
reason. I know your reason.
I have to
I
re-say
bet.
my. No, you can't interject. I have to re-say what I just said because you guys heard me. The podcast didn't. So give me a second. Podcast people, what I was trying to say was that I said my top 3 Straw Hats are Luffy, Zoro, and Nami. Grant, give your reaction again. Yeah, so then Grant reacted like that because they were like, "What? I know that's a hot take. Having Nami that high is like everyone's like, what the hell?" Grant probably does know my reason because I've said this more than once. Like I've said this on multiple occasions, and I stand by it every time. It's also part of the reason why Wano made me hate Usopp even more. So I'm going to
Okay, I know.
explain this situation now. Um, Nami and Usopp find themselves fighting Ulti. Have you seen this, son?
Yes, I know exactly the scene you're talking about.
Great. So Nami and Usopp find themselves fighting Ulti, and now Luffy has done a lot for his crew, a lot, especially for Usopp, who he's basically carried to be on the King of the Pirates crew. Just carried him to one of the best points possible. But
Give him a
that's
second chance.
yeah,
Even
and he gave him a second chance when Usopp made one of the dumbest decisions of his life. But we're not talking about that.
they just flipped him off at the
Gives a very simple ultimatum. And she says to Nami, if you don't want to die right now, all you have to say is that your captain will not be king of the pirates. All you have to do is say that. Usopp is laying on the ground, like, a couple feet away, and he starts shouting to her, Nami, just lie. It's okay to lie if it means you're gonna survive or whatever. And he's like begging her. And I'm sitting here watching this and I'm fuming. I was so angry. I'm like, Usopp, You are such a piece of shit that after all this time, you are not brave enough to stand by your captain like that. And I'm looking at this and I'm thinking in my head, I really said, Nami's not. She's not going to do this. Zoro, Sanji, Frankie, Robin even. I could see all of them doing it. I was like, Nami, no way she would do this. And Nami sobbing, like just basically saying, she literally in that moment was saying, I'd rather die than say Luffy will not be king of the pirates. I mean, I get full body chills just think about it. And she says to Ulti's face, she says, my captain's going to be king of the pirates. And so fuck Usopp. I mean, I'm sorry. Fuck
Okay,
him for that. That was
I'll say one
ridiculous.
thing about that. His whole goal in this is to become a brave warrior of the sea, right? So it would stand to reason that that will not happen until the very, very end, damn near. Or at least this
Yes, I know.
probably this very arc we're in, considering how much he's invested in it.
Hopefully, yeah. But I will, but yes, just to
I
close that off,
understand
and
why
like I
you
said,
hate
well, it's like I don't hate him as much now. It's kind of settled, but at that time, I despised him. He shot to the bottom of my list because I've always loyalty is a very important thing to me, and it's also important to me in video games and media. Characters that are loyal to each other, I like that. I respect it. It makes me enjoy their character more. So when Nami did that, it was such a turnaround for a character because she was always one of the weakest. Not only is she now viably strong with Zeus, but she's also proven herself to be one of the easily one of the most loyal, besides Zoro and Sanji themselves, with that one action where she said, I'd rather die than say that.
Think about the character development here.
Incredible character development.
Who was the biggest backstabbing stabbing bitch at the start of this?
Nami.
Nami.
She said I would never do anything for a pirate. Blech. And
Left
now she
him
was
left
willing to
him at
die for
the
one. So, that's why she's my number 3. And that's so far, even with what we've watched, that hasn't changed yet. So, we'll have to see what happens. But for now, she's my number 3, and I'll stand by that.
Who's your top threes on?
That's a good question. I'd probably go um in terms of my personal favorites, not who I think are the coolest, but in terms of the people who I like the most. Because the person who I think is the coolest is Zoro. He's by far the coolest character on the Straw Hats. Jinbei is probably a close second. And then Robin's probably third. But in terms of my personal favorites, it probably goes Luffy and Robin flip flop for me in terms of first and second. And then I think my third is honestly Frankie.
Frankie.
I love Frankie. I think he's hysterical. He has a lot of good moments. He's not a little bitch, which is awesome. He's actually super manly, which is that's part of the humor and irony part of it. The scene that made Frankie shoot to the top of my list was the Senor Pink fight. That was so good. It was so good. I did not
Cinema.
expect. It was so ironic and stupid and dumb, but it worked so well. And he showed real remorse and honest sadness at winning because he had such a worthy opponent. Not in terms of fighting force, but in terms of character. And that's really fucking cool. That's really cool.
And that's what I love about Oda's characters. Think about when you first saw Senor Pink and how dumb you thought this stupid baby man was, and then it just completely 180s and turn around. You're like, this is the best dude ever.
Yeah, no, completely. Robin, I think, has had. She hasn't had a ton of character development since Annie's Lobby. I'll be honest, but that, and that makes sense because that's her arc, right? That's where that's really about Robin. And I mean, obviously, all the other Straw Hats, but the primary focus is Robin.
She's getting more now.
I love that I love that she, out of everyone, she by far has had the hardest backstory out of the Straw Hats. No questions asked. Sanji had it pretty rough. I'll give him that, especially with the revelations from from what's it called, Whole Cake. But Sanji very quickly found a group that accepted him. Even if they weren't nice to him, they accepted him. Robin never found that until her late 20s. She had to go her entire life constantly getting betrayed. You
I think
know?
Brooks is worse.
I would argue Brooke. I would argue Brooke.
I think Brooke is worse.
I do personally. Also think that.
Grant, can you tell us why
Be
you think
50 years
Brooks is...
alone, surrounded by the corpses of your friends. I don't know.
True, but Brooke
And think
bounces
about
back.
the point you just made about like how like long it took people to like join the crew. It took Brooke like 3 seconds because he was like, "Get me out of this hell any way possible."
That's true. That's a very good point. I think there's an argument. Okay, Brooks might be sadder, but or more sad rather. But I prefer Robin's personally. And she's just cool. She's also the only one of the Straw Hats who's not a complete fucking moron. Like everyone else is an imbecile. Honestly,
Jinbei is
like
incredibly intelligent.
that's true. But
Jinbei is up there.
I love Jinbei, but he's barely part of the crew. I have not seen him a lot.
Bro, what do you mean he's barely part
He's
of the
very
crew?
cool. Well, he hasn't drank the sake
Well,
yet.
he's at Wano. He's like just joined after Whole Cake, so I mean,
Yeah. He still hasn't drank sake yet with Luffy. So to me, he's still barely part of the crew. He's very intelligent, very cool character. After Luffy, Robin and Frankie, Jinbei's next on the list for me in terms of favorite characters. I love Jinbei. I think he's fascinating. He's got a very strong sense of honor. I seeing him stand up for Luffy at Marineford and fight with Luffy was really, really hype. It was impeccable. I love him. I really do. But
the Big Mom stare down. The Big Mom stare down was peak Jinbei.
Yes,
that's probably his best moment. Probably his best.
You can't take my hand, Soul. I'm not afraid of you.
Yeah.
He said, if I'm going to be on the crew of the King of the Pirates, if I'm going to be on that crew, then how could I fear a measly emperor? Ugh. That's so hard. He's like, you're nothing in comparison. You're nothing in comparison to the King of the Pirates. Nothing. Like, it's not even close. Like, he looked her in the eyes and said, you're an ant to a mountain of a man. And why would I fear an ant?
No, I completely agree. But Jinbei is really intelligent. Robin is just awesome. I think that the evolution of her devil fruit is a little interesting because like she's gotten to the point where she can just make clones. But that's part of her devil fruit, right? That's not that she learned like ninjutsu or whatever whatever
No,
what's his name?
No,
you didn't see the Naruto crossover episode?
Yeah. Where what's his name? What's his the ninja? What's his name? Raizo.
Yeah.
Raizo's cool.
Yeah. Raizo's cool. He grew on me. Tony was party to this. I called Kanjiro being the spy about 10 episodes before it was revealed.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I don't know. I think that was a good shocker for me. I don't think I knew that.
I like when they find out he's actually good at drawing.
That was
He's just been screwing him over the whole time.
Made me so mad. Made me so upset. Ashura Doji is fucking dead. That's tough. I liked him. The Akazai 9 were cool.
The Hedgehog.
Pardon?
The Hedgehog. What was that guy's name? Spiky hair, died on the post. Smiling Girl's dad.
Oh yeah.
He was the beggar in the.
Yasue.
Yasue.
Yeah, that was an awesome scene.
He's A tier, I'd say.
Yeah, he's A tier. His daughter, I hate her. I don't care that her backstory's sad. I don't care that she can only cry. She sucks. She annoys me every time she's on screen.
She ate a smile fruit. Give her a break.
Yeah, bro.
I don't care.
You're they looking at someone and
She's-
saying, "Oh, you have a disease that I don't like. Fuck you." That's what I heard.
You're
I'm
telling a
not-
disabled child to
A
go
little
fuck
girl.
herself.
A little girl.
Tough shit.
Chat. Clip that. Clip that, chat.
No, I mean, obviously, like I have sympathy for her. It's not that I don't care about her at all, but
It's honestly
every time I don't think that my sympathy outweighs my annoyance. Like every time she's on screen, she's just annoying. I think it's a mixture of her laughter and just her voice, and also I think that she looks weird. I just, in general, just don't like her.
She watched her dad die on a post.
That's rough. That's really rough. I'll send her a Hallmark card. Okay, I like.
For your
She's
sake,
still annoying.
let's move on from this topic. But
I'll send her an
also
edible
because it's
amusement.
also important because we've got about 10 minutes left. I'm not gonna just instant cut us off at the hour, but it is almost
Go
midnight.
back to the
so-
main topic.
Yeah. We have to get to the one thing. No, listen, I wanted this to be natural and fluid. That's why I didn't write us a script. But we have to get to the main thing at hand, which is I want you pre-Gear 5 to describe what you think it's going to be like, what you currently know about it. I want all your predictions about Gear 5, how the fight with Kaido will go, all that shit. Give yourself like 5 minutes to talk, and then I'm going to cut you off at the 5 minute mark, starting now.
So here's what I know about Gear 5 for sure is that it's called Nika. I don't know what that means and I don't know what it is, but I know it's called Nika. I
You
don't know
what that means
I don't know what it means. I
at all.
thought that I think as far as I'm aware, as far as I'm concerned, I'm pretty sure that's just the form. He calls
I
it
thought
Nika.
he knew, Grant. I thought he knew what Nika was because we talked about it so much. But when I was on the
Could have
phone with
sworn
him,
that's like
he has
been
no
said, but
idea. He has no idea what Nika is. All he knows is that it's the name of it in some way, shape, or form. But keep
maybe I'm
going, Zoe.
spoiled by just knowing it. Was it not really like was it hidden that much?
Yes. Yes, it was. It was hidden. I had no idea.
It just said what like he was, it didn't say his name, I guess.
Oh no, the only reason I know it's Nika is because I saw I was on Instagram and I saw a spoiler for it. It's in like this guy's talking about like so Luffy's Gear 5 Nika, and then I was like, okay, bye.
Smart.
I just okay. So that's all I know is that it's called Nika. Luckily, it's not a huge spoiler as far as Tony has told me. But what I think is going to happen is that it's inevitable. It is impossible that it is anything other than Luffy's Devil Fruit Awakening. It has to be Luffy's Devil Fruit Awakening. I am
Fair to
absolutely
say.
convinced. Like we've seen, and the other reason for that is he just had a crazy upgrade. He's learned how to infuse Conqueror's Hockey. He actually really landed a gnarly punch on Kaido. I thought that he was actually that it did more damage than it did. Then Kaido just jumps back up, like spits out a little bit of blood. Like it's literally like the Thanos scene, like all that for a drop of blood. Like that's what it reminded me of because it looked crazy. Luffy's doing all this shit, and it feels like it's almost for nothing. Like he's knocked Kaido to the ground, but Kaido has shown no signs of slowing down or taking real damage. So I think that the only thing that's going to allow him to really achieve that kind of power, which makes sense for this point in the story, is the Devil Fruit Awakening. And based on the only other Devil Fruit Awakening that I can distinctly remember, which is Doflamingo's that we've seen, it's that he is going to be able to manipulate his environment into rubber, much like Doflamingo was able to manipulate his environment into string. I don't know how he's going to do it. I don't know how they're going to show it, but that's what makes the most sense to me based on what I've seen. I think that it's going to be wild. I don't know the extent of the power, but I think that it like I think that it's also going to allow him. I mean, obviously, I think he's going to get a giant speed boost, giant power boost, giant etc. But I'm very excited to see what that's actually going to entail. beyond that, Tony, was there anything else that I told you about that? I feel like there was that I'm not thinking of right now.
I'd say, I mean, I'll just ask you a question to kind of prompt you forward a bit more. Like you said, obvious things. He's gonna get giant power up, of course. We all know that, but I want you to try and like give me what your prediction is on how Gear 5 is going to function in a fight, because that's kind of like something that when I talked to Grant on the phone about it, before I watched it, I was like telling him how I thought the fight would go. Like, what do I mean when I say he's going to be able to turn everything into rubber? Like, what does that actually mean? Um, go into that prediction side of it, because that's really where it gets more abstract. So
Hmm.
you're imagining,
I
you imagine the fight in your head.
Okay, so if he can turn into his environment into rubber, knowing Luffy, he's gonna use that to kind of like he's almost gonna use it as like a gum trampoline type deal. Like to like he's gonna like shoot down into the ground, turn it into rubber, and use that to shoot himself out of the ground and hit Kaido. Like I don't know, like just like maybe turn his body into a fucking bullet and like hit Kaido like
Spring
that. Like
guy.
what?
Spring guy.
Sure. Yeah. Like
Bellamy.
Bellamy.
His name's Bellamy.
Bellamy, right?
Yeah, where he's just gonna rocket his shit. I think that he's also gonna like I think that with that he's gonna be able to like his I see his actual movements in terms of his body becoming way more fluid and like the extent of his rubberiness not being like stretch and pull back, but like just like fucking like that's the best way I can describe it by doing that
It's
weird
Mr.
dance. It's just like
Fantastic.
yeah, like everything is just like wibbly wobbly. Like there's no like okay, here's how I would say he has full immediate control over the extent of the rubber. It doesn't necessarily have to have inertia. Like he doesn't have to throw it back and stretch. He can just push back, like without effort necessarily. And so his control of his rubber abilities is perfect in that regard. So like in that by that extent, I also think that he's going to be able to turn his body into like certain kinds of weapons or shapes that he wasn't able to manifest before. Like he might be able to create like just turn his hand into a giant hammer as opposed to just a fist. Or like he might be able to use it as a hook, like as a hook, solidify it with hockey, and then like slam Kaido into the ground with like a hook or something like that. And then on top of that, if he hooks him into the ground that he's already turned rubber, he can make Kaido like he can hook him, shoot himself up, and then make Kaido slam up into him with an attack that he's coming from in the air. Some stuff like that. That's what I kind of see happening, something along those lines. I think that but I think it's going to be perfect because Luffy is so goddamn creative. Because his goal is to be the freest man alive. He's defined that as being the king of the pirates. And it works perfectly for Luffy because he doesn't really think. He has no thoughts. He's like in terms of like a psychological analysis, he's pure id. All right? No ego, no super ego. Pure id incarnate. And so
Kind of
as a result of that,
ultra
the flexibility and freedom that comes with his fruit is perfectly embodied by his personality because he's not restricted by any, oh, well, why would I want to do that? It's just, I'm thinking of this. I'm going to do it now. That's his entire thing. And I think that that's going to be perfectly exemplified by Gear 5.
Grant, throwing this alley oop to you. Um, respond to Zahn and ask any questions or whatever you want.
I mean, you're on the right track. Creativity is definitely a highlight of it. I would.
Bingo.
What is a question I would want to ask? I don't know. Um, where do you think? What do you think this like the ceiling of this is going to be? Like, do you think there's a Gear 6 after the? Does this just get him past Kaido?
I I honestly don't know.
Tony can answer that too. So.
I don't see, at least from this point, how anyone is going to be significantly stronger than Kaido, with the exception of if Luffy fights Shanks.
Mihawk too.
I don't think so. Mihawk is really strong. I don't think he's stronger than Kaido.
Kaido
And plus,
lists
I don't
Mihawk
think.
as one of the people that can cut him.
Yeah, but regardless, I don't think.
On
I
sword to
think
sword.
that's yeah, I think that's Zoro's fight. I don't think Mihawk and Luffy are really going to clash. I don't see that happening at
But
this
I'm
point in the
not
story.
saying that it's going to happen. I'm just saying
Could he?
you said there's
Like-
not many people stronger than Kaido, and Mihawk went toe to toe with Shanks. He probably would fuck up Kaido in a fight. So would Shanks.
When did he go toe to toe with Shanks?
Never on screen, but that's known lore.
That's like why they're friends and like
Yeah,
they go like he tells them about Luffy on that island like way back when.
yeah. So, and I think Mihawk and Shanks both would beat Kaido in a one-on-one fight because they can damage him, as said by Kaido himself when he says, "Few people could ever cut me," and their silhouettes are then shown in the background. It's like Roger, Whitebeard,
yeah.
Shanks, Mihawk, Big Mom, and maybe one other person. Rocks. I think Rocks' shadow is there too. I think that's everyone.
Oda also just does that thing where like when he brings people back, they're just way stronger. So
Yeah, true.
like the next time we see Mihawk fight is gonna be insane. Like Luffy already beat Crocodile, and now whatever. But never mind.
Don't talk about that. I know exactly what you're gonna say. Just leave that alone.
What I do know in terms of spoilers, I actually know more spoilers about Egghead than I do about the fight with Kaido specifically, or at least Gear 5, which is that I know that we get introduced to Vegapunk, which I'm extremely excited for.
Have you seen his
Horrible
character?
spoiler to have, by the way. That's such an L that you know that.
Have you seen his character model yet?
No.
Oh,
Okay, that's good.
At least. That is good. That's actually very good that he hasn't seen.
And then I know that and this I kind of personally put together, but also like had it spoiled for me was that Rob Lucci is the main fight with Luffy in Egghead. But with the presence of CP0 coming in at the end,
main
like
fight. That one's so big and huge.
I know that he's there for it. I know that
Yo, Grant,
Rob
that's easily biggest fight in Egghead.
Biggest understatement of the century.
cool. I'm happy I don't know what's happening. I really, really am. I've heard that episode 1100 is bananas.
Might be my favorite episode of the entire show. I mean, it's
Really, because
I've rewatched it so many
What is
times.
that?
It's
I don't know.
I know
based on
Shanks is
the
a part of it.
number.
I'll just text you, Grant. Hold on.
Okay, word.
Shanks is a part of it, correct? Really? Interesting. But yeah, that's all I really know about Egghead. I'm excited for the lore dump that is going to come um after the end of Wano itself. I told this to you, Tony, and I don't know how, but I have a very strong feeling that after this is all said and done, that the timelines are going to like converge or something like that. So that like I don't know how it's exactly gonna work, but like Momo and like Kinemon and the guys who came to the future are somehow gonna age or something like that, and they're gonna turn into their like what the forms that they should be. I just feel like we're not done with like the time travel fuckery stuff. I feel like that's gonna like regulate itself in some way. And I can't remember anything else at the moment.
You haven't seen Momo grown dragon form either, huh?
What?
You haven't seen Momo like go back to human after being big dragon, right?
I haven't seen Momo in Big Dragon. Period.
Oh shit.
Well, you already know he can do that, so it's not a spoiler. You know he can do it. He's
I
gonna
knew
do it
he
again.
could go into dragon form. I didn't know he could go into Big Dragon form. I've only seen Little Bitch Dragon.
It's still basically Little Bitch Dragon. Grant's just saying Big Dragon, but it's not like
Yeah, he doesn't
like
like
don't imagine what you're imagining.
become
That's
a
not
big
what it
player.
is. Grant used a bad adjective, which for someone who hasn't seen it would make it seem like a spoiler when it's really not. Um,
Okay.
we're at our hour. The one thing I'm gonna say is I did want to respond to Grant's thing about Gear 6. Um, I do not think there will be a Gear 6, even with all the manga, like being caught up in the manga. There's gonna be another power up, and I
Yeah,
think
I don't.
Grant knows. I think I've told Grant my theory on what it is, but I can't say it here because you need manga context. But I don't think it's a Gear 6. I think it's like a premium Gear 5. It's an upgrade to Gear 5, but it's not something that's entirely different because all the gears are different from each other.
I
They're not
think he just
expansions.
fleshes out Gear 5 for sure more because I mean, after that reveal, like where
No,
do
but
we go?
Grant, when Zahn hops at this call, I'll tell you what I'm referencing. There's something specific I think that's going to happen that's like an actual scale up, not just a refinement, like an actual jump. But it's not a Gear 6. It's like a Gear 5 plus, which I'll explain
How
it.
much
I'll explain
farther?
it to you.
How much farther is the manga than the show right now? Because Oda's been on
100,
a break for a while.
100 chapters maybe.
Okay, and like, because
Are they
like
nearing
a
the end
new
of? Are they nearing the end of Egghead animation?
No way, Grant. They're I think when they return, they're gonna be like barely halfway through the arc.
Oh shit!
The
I have
biggest
not
thing
covered.
of the arc has not even happened yet. Think about it. It hasn't even been
Sure,
like really like
I would have seen that. I would
shown
have
at
seen it close.
all.
To that.
Like
Yeah,
that one major thing has not happened. And that's like in the
so
middle.
wait,
so sick.
they've taken a break from releasing episodes.
They're back in
That
one month.
Did
was
Oda?
Tony. That
Pardon?
moment is when I knew like there's a shift here. We're getting
100%. 100%. That was so different. Me and Grant read that at the
in the
gym.
gym, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were at Lafayette lifting together, and that manga that we're talking about, that chapter came out, and we were both reading it on our phones. And I get to the last page, and I'm like, do you know? The best part is Grant didn't even know what it meant. Like he didn't realize. And I was like, Grant, look at, look at all of these things. Like, do you see like how they look similar? Do you know what that means? And Grant was like,
We
no.
were like,
And I'm
count
like,
them, count them. I
I'm like,
was like,
count them,
oh,
Grant. You have to see that number significant, Grant.
So the anime has not been releasing new episodes for like the last 4 months or so, right? Maybe five.
We have 1 month left until they return. 6 month break.
Has Oda still been releasing chapters?
Fuck ton. Me and Grant have
Really?
been reading and texting about it
but
So why did
his
the anime
was
take a long break? Because they were starting to catch up.
because what they have to animate is really hard to animate for sure. It's gonna be ridiculous. Like they've got to put some fucking heart into this shit.
I thought it was also partially because they were putting a lot of work into the One Piece.
Probably might be part of it, but they're not even close to caught. Like they're not close to being caught up. Like we're in the next
So
arc
would
and they're
you,
not even halfway through Egghead. Like, and we're like
so would
at
you
least
like
you
10
recommend that?
chapters into the next arc,
somewhat
if not more.
somewhat deep into the next arc. Yeah.
Yeah, like we're kind of deep into it now. So like they're
Dude, even that chapter. Did you finish that chapter, Tony? Oh yeah, no.
I
I texted you. We talked about this.
I think we did. Yeah, I think you and I are caught up the same page right now.
How strongly would you recommend me starting to read the manga after I get caught up?
Highly. I think that some of the things that happen, like the stuff that we were just talking about and like fanboying over, and I say this to Tommy because I'm trying to get Tommy to read it. If those things got spoiled for you, it would ruin things. Like I would
Yeah,
say like
like
things were actually felt ruined. And then on top of that, if you don't start reading, eventually it's gonna end. And when it does, there is no way you'll be able to avoid that spoiler of what the One Piece is. There's no way you'll be able to avoid it.
yeah,
Like
like if you could completely avoid spoilers, like seeing it animated for the first time would be like cool, but like for sure
it's
you should
not worth
read.
the risk. That's why I started reading because I said in my head, this is gonna end, and I, you know, the One Piece is gonna be revealed way before it's animated, right? So, and if that gets spoiled for you, I don't recommend even finishing the show. Why would you even finish the show? It's ruined.
Yeah.
What do you guys
It's
think
not like a
about
huge
the?
undertaking. I mean, they're like short little comic book chapters.
Yeah.
And
Have you
I
guys
honestly started reading just because there wasn't any more One Piece content. I needed more fucking content.
Fair enough. Well, have you guys heard the fan theory that this is actually just an old story that Brooke is telling to people, or like or something like that? Have you guys heard about that or no?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I've
I
heard
don't
that.
know if I buy that.
I don't buy it either. I was just wondering if you guys had heard of it and like
I mean,
He's
he
what your
already
will
thoughts.
50
outlive them,
ish,
but
right? Will he?
Is Brooke
He already
immortal?
lived 50 years of his second life.
I think that I think he's immortal, yeah. He
You think he's
can't
a
decay, he's
That's
just bones now. Like, as long as he drinks milk, he can't really decay. How would he die?
Yes, yeah, I
He
guess.
doesn't
head bashed
age.
a million pages.
Like, anytime he cracks or his bones get damaged, he just drinks milk and they repair, right? So, and also he's like, he he is so teetering between being alive and dead. He can make his soul leave his body at will. So that's like he's like kind of alive, but I don't think you can't count it as being really alive. What, Grant?
ミックスの酒よ届けに行くよ海風風波任せ
But yeah, I think he's half alive and half dead. He's like the king of the underworld now, so it's like, especially with all his power ups and stuff, like it's really leaning into the also being dead aspect. So yeah, I think he's immortal for unless he gets like exploded or something.
Gotcha.
He doesn't even have to eat food. You know what I mean? Like you can't
Sure.
put him on the same scale as a normal person.
Brooke is a top tier
Regardless,
straw.
we are at an hour 10, so
I would like to ask one last question if it's possible.
shoot.
You can add one person to the Straw Hats. Who is it? Tony, you can't say Blonde Clay. Grant, you can't say Katakuri.
Um,
Katakuri.
on Clay.
I hate you guys so much.
I'm not even joking. Katakuri's always been my
I
top pick.
would legitimately want to see Katakuri, and I still, even this far deep after Whole Cake, have like a little bit of an inkling that it could happen.
I still think it's
But
no. You know what I said, Grant? What I
I
think's gonna
see more
happen.
likely that he just takes over Whole Cake or something.
I think he'll take over Whole Cake and then join the Straw Hat Grand Fleet. I could see that
Yeah,
happening for real.
I could definitely see that. Yeah,
That's actually possible. So he's technically joining Luffy, but not joining his crew. But like Whole Cake would be behind Luffy. I think that's fully possible.
I always thought it would be funny if like they picked up somebody at Elbath and they just had like a huge raft just dragging behind the Sunny. They just sat on.
Dude, oh man, I want to mention like this, bro. You know what I mean? Like, because we had this and now we have this. You know what I mean?
I just wish Zon wasn't on this podcast. We could
Yeah, I
actually talk about
know.
the show.
Hey, John, come on this podcast as a person who hasn't watched Gear
Hurry up and
5.
catch up, man.
This John wasn't on this podcast.
All right, we gotta wrap up though. But yes, my pick is Katakuri. And I would have said that even if you didn't put in that stipulation for Grant. That was still gonna be my answer. I honestly would have said him before Bon Clay just because Bon Clay's just, he's an impel down. So it's just not happening unless they go break
He's
him
a
out.
goaded character for sure, but like
Yeah.
does
I
not
just
fit on the crew. And like
it's
strength wise, I mean, easily come on.
yeah, I don't think he fits the way that like Katakuri actually would kind of fit because he's so grossly like he's a billion, he's the billion berry bounty man.
Yeah, and like his whole power is like changing faces and like sneaking around and shit. Like I don't think there's a place for that on Luffy's crew, even if he like loves the dude.
Yeah. But Katakuri, that would be awesome.
I don't know what he would really do either, but fuck some
He would
people
just
up.
be
That's
there and be sick and be awesome.
the fourth, the monster quadruple.
Most
Quadruple.
realistic though, if there's another crew member, which I do think there will be because Luffy said a crew of 10 and his crew is 9. So
Are we missing a job yet? Just off the top of our head.
I don't know what the last job would be, but he
Because
said here
I didn't
too.
even think of like helmsman for Jinbei,
Yeah,
so I'm sure
exactly.
there is.
There's probably something we're not thinking of, but I think
the best.
it would probably be Yamato. I think that's most
Yeah.
likely to happen.
I don't want that, bro.
Only
I don't want that.
because Luffy asks Yamato to join the crew, and Yamato says no, but says like literally this is in an episode. Yamato says maybe later, right? So it's like possible, but you know, Yamato's still in Wano now, and they're not. So you never know. But that's who I think is probably most likely.
Yeah. Haven't seen that yet. I'm sure I'll get there.
Yeah, that's not really a spoiler much because Yamato doesn't join. So
Right.
anyways, 115. That's got to be the absolute maximum. So I'll let you guys each say your outros and then we'll call it. So, hey guys, we're back. I had to cut that. Grant's outro was not allowed to stay. Why don't you try again?
Why don't I go while he thinks of something?
Sayonara. That was even worse.
Yeah, honestly, I almost want to cut that one and leave the first one.
All right, I'll give this a shot. It is. I was just gonna say, thanks for having me on. This has been very enjoyable. I hope to maybe do a follow up in the coming month or so after I've been caught up. I will probably end up reading the manga. This has been a lot of fun. You guys should watch some of the other episodes. I hear that the Witcher episode was quite interesting. And also, shout out to Palmer, who had a great episode with one of the funniest statements of all time being one of his top 10 bosses, North Philadelphia, specifically at
At
night.
night. Yeah, that was great. That was so funny.
Tony, I thought of a good outro
All right, hit me.
in One Piece fashion. To be continued.
That's good. Arigato. Hey, Alexon, you know what that
All
means?
right. Arigato? Yes. It means thank you.
Arigatou gozaimasu.
It means thank you very much.
Sasho Burina Mugiwara. What's that mean?
See you
One
soon.
Piece wa jitsuzai suru.
You're referencing the crocodile one, if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah.
Shiburi da
But
na.
that is the coolest Mugiwara. That is the coolest.
That's one of the coolest ways to end off an episode.
It was
Yeah.
that's peak. Another reason why Impel Down is best arc. So peak.
Facts, bro.
I mean, God, you Crocodile, Buggy, Mr. 3, Mr.
When did
So
wait,
in my Quran class, we had to do a discussion post about intertextuality. You guys know what that word means, so I don't have to explain it right now.
Sure.
It's like referencing others, like for example, like Impel Down would be like intertextuality to like Dante's Inferno, right?
Sure.
Oh,
That I
sure.
actually understand.
Okay.
I had to write about it's just like a couple sentences, and so I wrote about One Piece, about how it takes Christian shit theology.
I used Marine Ford for an essay.
I
An
remember
essay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My final paper, and I got an A.
Fire.
I wrote about Ace's death and how that was important for Luffy's character development. That was like actually the topic of the essay. And I got an A. So
What was the prompt?
it was for my philosophy of art class, and I was talking about tragedy. Tragedy was like a major, like there was like a whole couple chapters on tragedy in art, and art includes media like film and TV. So I chose anime as my art form, and then talked about how Ace's death was a necessary tragedy and how it supported the story, and how like Oda knew how to use tragedy properly to move his audience. It was a brilliant essay. 6 fucking pages about One Piece. The whole thing was about One Piece.
That's easy, bro. I can knock that out.
Literally, the title of the essay is what is like tragedy in One Piece : Ace's death or some shit like that. Like,
Dude, the way you found out about that is still so funny to me. It wasn't even like a real spoiler. Just like the extra episode on Netflix just had it in the title or something.
It was a
That's
movie.
tough.
It was a One Piece movie that
It's the
takes place
episode of
after.
One Piece, the death of Ace or some shit.
Yeah, Alexon, there's a movie that takes place right after Marineford, and I saw the One Piece movie pop up. So I just went to read the description because I was curious what the movie was about. And the first line is after Ace's death. And I was just like, I told Grant, and I was like, hey, I didn't want to tell you because I wanted you to still think I didn't know, but I have to tell you, I know.
Well,
That's one.
the funniest part was when we finally did watch the episode afterwards. As usual, the like title of the episode just spoils it, like the death of Fire Fist
Yeah,
Ace. So it doesn't really matter.
yeah.
Anyways, and I gotta
Robin
end this for
joins the
real.
crew.
Yeah,
Wait.
Robin joins the crew.
Okay,
Tony, at what point did you start watching sub instead of dub? What time? What point did that switch
when I was
over for
forced
you?
to
Yeah, when you had to.
Yeah, but where was that? Was Gear 5
before
dubbed
Gear
yet or
5.
no?
I watched Gear 5 in
Um,
Japanese.
It was like up to one of though,
I think episode
probably.
maybe episode like 1,000 I had to watch in Japanese or something.
I'm s- I'm
It
still in
changed
dub.
like 4 times for me.
I think I'm at 1040, give or take, and it's still dubbed.
Yeah, Gear
Wow.
5 is dubbed, dude.
Yeah. Are
Really?
you are you still? Do you think sub or dub is better?
Um, Now I think that the Japanese is better. I used to think the English was better, and when I watch the older episodes, I still watch them in English. But rewatching the new ones in English, it's better in Japanese. It's interesting how that works. The
Pre
older
time
episodes
skip.
are,
Pre time skip English is peak for
yeah,
some reason.
exactly.
I don't know.
Pre time skip English is good. Post time skip, you can do Japanese, and it's fine. Um, Especially Gear 5. Gear 5 is and Gear 4. 4 and 5 are much better in Japanese. Um,
Dude, Gear 4 Japanese is so, or English is so dumb.
Yeah, the English is really bad. I need to. You guys can stop asking me questions. I need to actually end it. We're 21 minutes over now, which is too much. Um,
You're
Thank you
just
guys
gonna
for
cut this.
watching. Appreciate you guys, Grant and Alexon, for coming on, talking One Piece. Only the second time for this segment, but we'll try to bring it in more, and we'll reconvene with Zahn, hopefully with Tommy on as well, when he watches Gear 5, so we can get his afterthoughts and
Get me on that
see.
too. I
Yeah,
need to
yeah,
see
Grant.
on
Grant, you're
this.
locked in now, Grant. So um, maybe we could even get Alex on watching it on stream. That would be cool. That'd be interesting. Live
Probably.
reaction. But with that said, it's like almost 1 in the morning. So thanks for watching and have a good one. I will see you next week. I don't know what episode this is, and I don't know what I'm doing next week. So peace.